Kia ora and welcome to yet another video on my series about New Zealand immigration. My name is Arun Jacob and I would like to call myself your friendly and frank licensed New Zealand immigration advisor. If I look a little tired and a bit groggy in this particular video of mine, I probably am because I just came back from a 4,500 kilometer trip across the South Island of New Zealand and I've been taking my brother around who's been visiting from overseas and we've been having a great holiday and we just got back to Hamilton where I live, which is this is my home city. And I got back last night and by the time I got back home there were like a million emails sitting in my inbox which talked about the fact that there has been a change in the immigration policy of New Zealand on the 12th of October. And I've been getting a lot of emails, of concern and confusion and consternation and people wanting to know what's going to happen now and I also detected a little bit of panic and and things like that. So I obviously took some time to understand what the new policy change is all about, which is something I think which was in the offing for quite some time. I mean, it was bound to happen at some time because New Zealand is emerging day on day as a very very favored destination to people from all across the world who would like to come and make this amazingly beautiful country their new home, or or look at businesses, or or for study and so on and so forth. So I think in view of that, the demand on New Zealand as a destination has been growing, and obviously there's only so many people that the government can let in. So they have to kind of keep tweaking the policy to make sure that we're getting the right number of people, and when with the right skills who will come to this country and benefit us and not just take advantage of all the nice things that we have here in New Zealand. So I sat down to understand what the policy changes was, and I'm going to talk. This video is all about how this policy is going to affect people. Who would like to come to New Zealand as international students, and what this policy means for them. So I had a look at the policy, and essentially there are two things that have happened. And the first thing is that earlier people needed a total score of 140 points to be able to make a successful skilled migrant category application and be chosen to become a resident of New Zealand. This 140 points is a mixture of age and qualification and work experience and spouse qualification if you're married, so on and so forth. There are a lot of, I will not get into the details of it, but that's what it is. So what has happened is earlier it was 140, now they're taking it up to 160 points. So that's really the number one change in policy. The number two change in the skilled migrant category application is the fact that they've also changed the English language requirements a little bit. Earlier, besides providing an IELTS report, you could also prove that you have adequate English skills in other ways and means of, by virtue of the degree you had, or the places you worked before, or the countries you were in, and so on and so forth. But now they kind of made it a bit more rigid, and they've brought it down simply to an IELTS score which matches the policy, or just two or three very very small set of parameters which can be used in lieu of an IELTS score or a PTE score and so on and so forth. So what does this mean to a student, an international student who's considering to come to New Zealand and study? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to make it a bit more tougher. It's going to make it a bit more tighter, and so on and so forth. And I'm not getting into the details of how it will affect and what it really means to students and stuff, because it changes from individual to individual, and it won't be right on my part to sit and make a video which is being viewed by everybody to give some general guidelines and say that this is applicable to everybody, because it's not fair, and it's a legal matter. Immigration is a legal matter, and it differs from person to person. So I will, if when you reach out to us, we will assess you individually and let you know. But at a very very broad level, it hasn't changed a lot. If you happen to be a good quality student, if you happen to come in a subject area that is also a skill shortage area here in New Zealand, it does not matter if you have good English. It does not matter if you already have good work experience, and it does not matter if you're already married to somebody who is also got good qualification and work experience. It does not matter. So to put it in a nutshell, if you are a good quality student, if you are somebody who can still come into New Zealand and who can study in a good area, and if you keep if you go back to some of my earlier videos, I'm not a very big fan of this thing called the diploma in business, because I think it's too generic and it's too lower level and really doesn't serve the purpose of doing anything for anybody in terms of addressing either a skill shortage need here in New Zealand or equipping the students with higher level of knowledge and so on and so forth. So leaving those aside, for instance, today I got an inquiry from a guy who says he wants to do a master's in photography, which is brilliant. This person has already got a bachelor's level qualification in something like photography and is now planning to come to New Zealand and as a to do a course in masters in photography. And my team and I are extremely happy to work with people like that because something like photography, which comes under the creative industry, is also in our identified future growth area of New Zealand. So if you are a good quality student who is coming to New Zealand and coming into a subject area which is also in either a skill shortage area in New Zealand or an identified future growth area of New Zealand, then I think you're still sitting very, very pretty. And if you're married and you're planning to utilize that pathway where one of the partners can come on a student visa and the other one will come on a work visa, I think it makes it even better for people like yourself, because there are two people now who have the ability to get out there and seek employment and get the required number of points to still make a successful skilled migrant category application. Even more important, I think it is beautiful for people who are choosing to go outside Auckland, because the current policy also factors in 30 points to anybody who is seeking employment outside Auckland. So if you're going to a Christchurch or to a Hamilton or to a Wellington or to some of the or to Otago or one of the other places, and you are able to successfully complete your course and actually find work there, so there are 30 points additionally that you will get towards your skilled migrant category application, which is fantastic. It is the same number of points you will get at the highest level of the age bracket within the skilled migrant category application and the process and the policy. So bottom line, does not matter. Do not be perturbed, do not be confused, do not think somehow New Zealand has decided to shut its doors on international students or skilled migrants. That is not the case. We are just trying to be careful about of streamlining this huge demand that is developed for New Zealand as a country, and which in itself goes on to prove that your decision to come to New Zealand is very, very right. We the government here is forced to take these measures because the demand is just going through the roof and people from everywhere are wanting to make New Zealand their home. So obviously we can't let in everybody who wants to come into New Zealand. That's the reason some of these policy tweaks are required. And if people from particular countries are thinking that they are being targeted, I think that's also a very, very wrong assumption, because there are all kinds of adjustments being made against different kinds of countries. For instance, recently the visa waiver arrangement with South Africa has been removed, so that people who are now coming from South Africa, even for a visit, still will need to apply for a visa, whereas earlier they could come into New Zealand on something called the visa waiver arrangement. So these policy changes are not directed particularly at certain countries or or wanting to create some kind of a bad situation for a set of people. I don't think that's the case. I think what is being done is that we are getting so much of influx of interest and of people. The government is in a position to sit and say, hey, look, only if you match a higher criteria is when you will be able to come into this country and become a resident and a future citizen of this country. But for international students, I think what becomes even more critically important is to work with a company which can help you maximize your success rate here in New Zealand. And I mean, obviously, I'm endorsing my own company, AJV, which has been around for a while, and we've helped a lot of our students. Please watch some of our success story videos and some of the other testimonials we've put up. It becomes even more important that you work with a good company, a company that is definitely and truly and genuinely committed towards helping you guys to succeed. And how does a company like AJV help you? Say, for instance, it's headed by somebody like myself, who is a licensed New Zealand immigration advisor, which means when you come into this country as an AJV client, you continuously are getting that constant source of genuine and professional and correct information and a set of services. As an organization, we are tuned in and keyed into the fact that the successful job outcome is very very important. So we have actually appointed a job coach for all our clients, so that we are preparing you from day one to be able to reach that eventual goal if residency is what you're looking at. We are making your entry very very hassle free into this country. We are setting up a nice system and nice structure so that when you come into this country, your first 2 weeks and 3 weeks is completely hassle free, and you actually end up with joy in your heart, and feel happy about the fact that you chose to come to New Zealand through a company through of like HOV. And then we are constantly there at each and every stage of your journey in New Zealand. So I think it becomes very important for you guys to make the right choices now. New Zealand as a country, definitely a very good choice. Choose the right course. We will help you in choosing the right course. Choose the right college. We will help you. We'll sit with you and work with you and tell you which is a good institution. Choose the right city. We will help you with that and tell you why it is a good city or a good choice of destination within New Zealand. But also choose the right company. And that is where I'm today for the first time in my videos overtly appealing to you guys to work with AJV, because we know what we are doing and we are definitely committed towards helping you achieve this goal of success in New Zealand. Because it's become a little tricky now with the policy change, and you will need constant guidance. You'll need constant guidance on the proper work and job outcomes after you complete your course. You will require constant guidance about the right visa, choices to be made after when you find a job, so on and so forth. So please work with a company like AGV, headed by a licensed New Zealand immigration advisor like myself, and supported by the rest of my brilliant team. So once again, to close this discussion and to give you a good, strong, firm message, these policy changes do not mean anything to a good, high quality student. You are still wanted here in this country. We want your skills. We want your energy. We want your youthfulness. We want your presence here. We want your cultural impulse into making New Zealand a better country. And we warmly invite you to come and make this country stronger. So as simple as that. So I close this video by letting all of you know there is nothing to be perturbed about. These policy changes were required, and I'm sure there'll be other policy changes going forward in future. But bottom line, if you're good, we need you here. And if you're good, AJ, we will make sure that you come here and become a successful student, hopefully a successful worker, hopefully a successful resident, and hopefully a successful future resident and citizen of New Zealand. So look forward to working with you and helping you to come to New Zealand. If you have any comments, please post them below this video, and I'll be more than happy to answer your queries. But otherwise, hi Ramai, and a very, very warm welcome to New Zealand. Thanks for listening to my video.